We got the reveal of Thing Saver Dragon, and if this is the direction for the upcoming V Clan collection, oh boy, V Standard is about to evolve. Stand up, Vanguard! Hey Cardfighters, welcome back to another Cardfight update, and today we probably have a short episode today, as there wasn't a lot of news with some notoriety to them, except of course the new Royal Paladin reveals for the upcoming V Clan collections, which are of course Blasterblade Seeker and Seeker Thing Saver Dragon. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into these new Royal Paladin cards and see what V Clan collection has in store for us, as it is looking very spicy. So first off, we got the brand new Grade 1, which of course is a triple R, as all the cards in the set are triple R cards, which is Knight of Warhammer Augustus. And Augustus has two effects, from which one is Auto Rearguard Circle. When this unit boosts a unit with Blasterblade in its card name, cost counter plus 1 and discard a card from your hand, and that boosted unit gets power plus 5k and drive plus 1 until the end of that battle. So this is interesting because one, this card specifies a unit with Blasterblade in its name, so any unit with Blasterblades or Blasterblade something it can work with. So for premium, we've got Blasterblade Spirit, we got Blasterblade Seeker, which now also is going to come to the V series. I think we've got Blasterblade Exceed, Blasterblade something else, Blasterblade Liberator, but I don't believe that's the gold paladin cards, but that's besides the point. Every Blasterblade card will work with this, which is nice because this card can work on the rearguard unit as well as on the Vanguard circle. Now you might think to yourself, what's the point of giving this effect to a rearguard Blasterblade? Well, this does interact nicely with Genslot, which gives all your Blasterblade cards drive checks on the rearguard circles that become essentially Vanguard units. And because this card also works with a Vanguard, you basically can now have 5 drive checks or potentially 6 drive checks in a single turn, or maybe even 7 if you have 2 of these cards and 2 Blasterblades in the front row with Genslot as your Vanguard. And at the same time, this gives your Blasterblade Twin Drive on the turn 2 play, which is very good for early aggression, as that basically turns Blasterblade into a Blaster Dark that also swings a bit higher. And if you have a full field, that Blasterblade also swings with a crit, which is nice. But that isn't the only effect that Augustus has, as Augustus also has a secondary effect, which is Auto on back row rearguard circle. Once a turn, at the end of the battle, your Vanguard attacked, stand this unit. So this effectively allows you to boost with it twice if you have a restanding Vanguard or a rewriting Vanguard, as we're going to see in a second. So this can work nicely with something like Sanctuary Guard Dragon, as that restands, and this does combat the rest cost of Sanctuary Guard Dragon, because if you have a back row filled with Augustus, you rest the back row and then restand with your Sanctuary Guard Dragon, and the moment you do that, all these units then restand immediately, thus you don't lose out on the power of the boosters, which is nice. But this is also going to work with Thing Saver Dragon, and can potentially work with maybe Jewel Knights, because Jewel Knight can multi-attack on the rear guards, but you can only boost them once. But if you then attack with the Vanguard, you can restand this as a booster, and now attack again with that side column with a booster as well. So this card is very flexible, it works with all types of builds for Royal Paladin, but it is especially that much better with a Blasterblade unit. But of course, this was just some generic extra support, but let's take a look at Blasterblade Seeker, and we're going to see what the main gimmick of the new Royal Paladin core is going to look like. So here we have the new Grade 2 Blasterblade Seeker, and before we're gonna take a look at the skills, I need to explain and put an emphasis on this. No, this Blasterblade will not work with Genslot, as Genslot specifically asks for Blasterblade. Not a unit with Blasterblade in the card name, it specifically asks for Blasterblade. This card does however work with Augustus, as Augustus just looks as a unit with Blasterblade in its card name. So that's a nice interaction. But let's take a look at Blasterblade Seeker, his own effect, and see what he actually can do. So first off, we got the ability Auto. When this unit is placed on the Vanguard circle or rearguard circle, cost, discard a card from your hand, choose one of your opponent's front or rearguards and retire it, choose one of your Vanguards with Seeker in its card name, which can include himself, and a grade equal to or less than your opponent's Vanguard, and the original critical of that unit becomes 2 until the end of turn. So to clarify that latter part of the skill, it basically means that to get the crit, you need to be on grade 2 when your opponent is also in grade 2 or maybe grade 3. And if you sit on the grade 3, your opponent needs to be at least grade 3 or maybe even higher to get the crit. If you went first, you don't get the crit immediately. So you cannot get a crit on your grade 2 turn where your opponent is still grade 1, or on your grade 3 turn where your opponent is still grade 2. Now this skill is actually really interesting because it's a combination of both Blaster Blade skills, but then fused into one for a lot cheaper cost, as it's just a discard, which is really nice. And this does combo nicely with Augustus, because now you also have that extra 5k power, making it to 23k column, and you have that extra drive check with potentially that extra critical, while also sniping one of your opponent's units. And that's really good, because the discard is already good enough for this snipe, as that's a 1-for-1 trade. But now it can potentially also have the critical. But interesting enough, because it also works on a regular circle, you can give the critical to your Vanguard if you're potentially sitting on Thing Saver Dragon. But that isn't the only thing, because Blaster Blade Seeker has a surprising secondary effect, which is actually really good, because that's auto regular circle. At the end of the battle this unit attacked, if you did not ride this turn, put this unit on the bottom of your deck and draw a card. So simply, it changed itself for a unit on the field into a card in your hand, which is actually really good because it allows you to be aggressive with your cards, but then don't lose out on shield value, and at the same time, you draw faster for your deck to dig to you the pieces that you need. Now, overall, this is just generic good support, as you can run this in any type of build, but as we're going to see with Thing Saver Dragon, this is really good, as it allows you to open up for more multi-attack on a more consistent basis without sacrificing your own cards in the process, which is always a really good thing. So to understand the power of Blaster Blade Seeker's secondary effect, and of course its first effect, let's take a look at Seeker Thing Saver Dragon and understand the true power behind this new archetype. So here we have the brand new main grade 3 for Royal Paladin, which is of course Seeker Thing Saver Dragon. And Thing Saver Dragon has two effects, from which one is auto. When this unit is placed on the Vanguard circle, cost counter +1, search your deck for up to one Blaster Blade Seeker, call it to the regular circle, and shuffle your deck. Until the end of turn, that called unit gets power +10k for each of your force markers. So for one counterblast, you get a free search that is the Blaster Blade that also can put itself back into the deck, which then can search it out once again, so you always have a search target, which is really good. But then you also duplicate the power of all your force markers, as we're gonna play Force 1 with this build, as we already saw with Blaster Blade Seeker, that the original critical gets +1, so it doesn't synergize with Force 2. So this effect doubles the value of all your force markers, which is kind of ridiculous, because this card can superior right into a new grade 3, so we're going to accelerate through our force markers. And if we combine this with Majesty Lord Blaster, it starts to get really nutty. So this effect is already really good, because you can just write this thing on turn 3 and get a free Blaster Blade Seeker, and then give the unit +10k power because you also have one force marker, thus generating actually a decent amount of power. And then you can also use Blaster Blade Seeker's skill to then give your Vanguard potentially an extra critical if you went second. So that's actually really good, because it gives you immediately value straight out the gate. But this is actually just a setup for its true power, which comes in its secondary effect, which is auto and Vanguard circle. At the end of the battle this unit attacked, if you did not ride this turn, so this is a turn 4 skill, cost Soul Blast 3, choose 4 cards from your drop, return them to your deck, search your deck for up to one Seeker Thing Saver Dragon, ride the stand, and shuffle your deck. So basically, you're going to superior ride him into himself, which basically gives you 2 Vanguard attacks. And that is just the start of things, because we get a second force marker, so we're generating more force markers. But more importantly, its on-play's first effect activates again. So we can then superior call another Blaster Blade Seeker onto the field, which then can give our Vanguard another critical. So basically what this opens up is that we start our turn, we can call Blaster Blade Seeker from our hand onto the field, give our Vanguard an extra critical, then we can swing with it, then use Blaster Blade Seeker's effect to put it back into the deck and draw a card, then we swing with the Vanguard, then rewrite a new copy of that Vanguard, and then on the right skill itself, we call once again the Blaster Blade Seeker that we just put on the bottom of the deck once again to the field, and then give our Vanguard another critical once again. So we have yet again a double critical Vanguard and a Blaster Blade Seeker that gets potentially +20, +30k power. That's just in Thing Saver Dragon's own effect and the extra addition that we get from the draw power from Blaster Blade Seeker. That's pretty good. But we can extend this way further than that. But on top of that, keep in mind, this card allows us to shuffle back 4 cards from the drop into the deck. It doesn't specify what those units are, so we can always secure a Thing Saver Dragon right target, but more importantly, we can keep reshuffle those triggers back into our deck every time that we are able to resolve this skill. So triggers are going to get very dangerous at some point as we're compressing the deck quite effectively with this effect. But let's take the multi-attack approach a bit more to the utmost extremes, because we have more options. A good example what we can upgrade this deck is with the 2 Great Ones are going to be reprinted and introduced in this set with the import of the promo, because we have Knight of Exemplary Sword Lucius and we got Knight of Going Alone Herald, which synergize perfectly with this playstyle. Herald is a card that allows us to put it into the soul the moment we superior call a Grade 2 and then give any unit plus 15k power. Putting a Grade 1 into the soul is excellent as it fuels the soul cost for Thing Saver Dragon, and we're going to superior call a Grade 2 the moment that we superior ride with Thing Saver Dragon, and then we can give our Vanguard or potentially another unit plus 15k power for essentially free. But on top of that, Lucius can put itself into the soul the moment that we ride a Vanguard, and then we draw a card and superior call a card from our hand to the field. Because Thing Saver Dragon superiorites himself during the battle phase, we can effectively achieve 1 extra multi-attack extender thanks to Lucius if it's already on the field. So we can boost with Lucius on the first Vanguard swing, and at the moment that we rewrite it, we can put it into the soul and then superior call another card from our hand onto the field for more multi-attacks. But, of course, we can go even 1 step further beyond that and then ask the help or call in the help of the Dual Knight support cards. Because if we have Ashley on the field, we can effectively attack with Ashley, superior call into the Grade 2 Dual Knight, attack with Ashley, superior call into the Grade 2 Dual Knight, then we attack with both Grade 2 Dual Knights, then we attack with the Vanguard, we rewrite, then we superior call a Blasterblade Seeker, and because the Blasterblade Seeker is now called on top of that Grade 2 Dual Knight, it gets an extra 10k power because of the Break Ride skill, and if we happen to have a Lucius in the back row, we can put it into the soul, then draw a card, then superior call another unit to the other side on top of the other Dual Knight Grade 2, which then also gets another additional 10k power because of the Break Ride skill, and then we can attack, and attack another couple of times, which is kind of ridiculous. And if you want to go all out, you could potentially call another Ashley when you put the Lucius into the soul, which then that Ashley can superior call another Grade 2 Dual Knight to the field for 1 extra attack. But that's scratching a lot because for every Ashley that we resolve, it's 2 soul, and then Thing Saver Dragon is another free soul. So you start to ramp up a lot of soul cost, but we do have a lot of good cards that go into the soul or fewer soul, which with the 2 Grade 1s that we just talked about. We have also Deoconnect Dragon or Pongal, so there are some options here. And Thing Saver Dragon is looking pretty damn spicy. I like this card. There's a lot of power potential here. There's a lot of room for experimentation with either the Ashley Dual Knight cards, maybe even MLB to some extent if we want to go the Force Marker Acceleration to get more value of the on-ride skill itself when you call superior call Blasterblade Seeker. So there are a lot of things that you can build around to emphasize certain aspects of this card together with Blasterblade Seeker. So I like this a lot, and if this is the new power level of the upcoming V-Clan collection set, it's going to be a field day for all the other clans. So I cannot wait what the rest of this set has in store for us. But before we end this video, I want to take a look back at when Bushiroad revealed the initial skill description of these cards and see if this gives us a better indication how true they are to the description, and if that also allows us to then speculate more precisely what the other cards are going to do. So if we go back to the Grade 1, we know the skills now of this Grade 1, and if we take a look at its description, it's rad as he has a skill that will work really well with Seeker Thing Saver Dragon, Solitary Knight Ganslot, and Sanctuary Guard Dragon. Well, they were completely true and tried to this because its first ability is excellent for Ganslot as it gives our Blaster Blades extra drive check and extra power, making Ganslot's continuous passive ability extremely powerful and way more deadly. But on top of that, its rest ability, or should I say its recent ability, is really nice for Thing Saver Dragon as it allows you to boost your Vanguard 2 times, or maybe your rearguard multiple times, as you can superior call Blaster Blade Seeker. And at the same time, this also works really well with Sanctuary Guard Dragon, as you rest your back row and then potentially can immediately restand them on the restand itself. So yeah, that's actually really nice. And then if we go over to Blaster Blade Seeker, we see the description. His ability will retire and increase his critical. He can also increase the critical of Thingsaver Dragon. So here they only specified his first ability. They didn't talk about anything about its secondary effect, which allows you to get way more value out of the multi-attack that you can generate from Thingsaver Dragon, while also increasing the consistency of always having a superior call target without needing to put one from the drop zone back into the deck with Thingsaver Dragon's effect. So we can expect even more abilities beyond what they told us in the first initial description. So that opens up even more room for speculation and for crazy cards that could come out of this set. And then finally, for the boss monster, Thingsaver Dragon, we got the description. After it is written, its true power won't manifest until the turn afterwards. Superior ride during the battle phase and call Blaster Blade Seeker. So this basically described this entire effect. The only thing that they didn't describe was the fact that Blaster Blade Seeker gets a buttload of power with the amount of force markers you could generate. And at the same time, they didn't talk about it. You can shuffle back cards from a drop into the deck. But it's basically more of a homage to the Legion effect, so we can see this maybe for other cards that are mimicking limit break skills or something in older generations that we've seen with other cards. So overall, these descriptions are pretty accurate, but we can potentially see even more on top of the description that they already provide to us, which opens up the room for a lot of crazy stuff. But with that said, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of these new cards for Royal Paladin. Are you excited for Thingsaver? Are you excited for Blaster Blade Seeker? Or are you now start to unravel the potential that's going to come in this set with the already present description of cards, and now that we see the first wave in actual action? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. As always, this video has been brought to you by our lovely patrons over patreon.com/VanguardInsider. You guys are amazing. If you want to support the channel or everything that's happening on the channel, you can simply go to patreon.com/VanguardInsider and become a patron today. But with that said, I've been Mr. Time Leap, and I see you guys in the next one!